Hi guys. Welcome back to RT Share Tea, where respiratory therapists live out loud. With me, your host, Linda Fry, the Asthma Lady. Yes, welcome everybody. Welcome to anyone new. And this is the month of Women's History Month. So we are very, very happy to have a lineup of amazing guest co-hosts that are women. Yay! And I have my first one here today lined up, and she is amazing, a respiratory therapist, Miss Breanna Masklee. Hold on, sorry. Breanna. So before I let Breanna do her thing, I'm going to read her bio, and she's going to take over the show. Okay. All right. So Breanna is a registered respiratory therapist who graduated during the 2020 pandemic. Since becoming a respiratory therapist, she has also worked as a clinical instructor for a respiratory care program and most recently obtained her AEC certification. Yes, Breanna, love it. So, and I'm also in the clinical instructor world, so we have a lot in common.
Very nice, very nice.
Yes, Breanna. So welcome. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for being a guest co-host. And I'm just gonna go right into it. I ask every guest co-host that comes through our doors their story. So what made you decide to be a respiratory therapist? We all have our story.
So I guess like with anyone else you probably ask, it just kind of fell into my lap. That seems to be like what everyone says. I actually wanted to do occupational therapy. So that was like my dream. I was going to school for my bachelor's for it, for exercise science. I was doing observation hours, Special Olympics, motor development labs. Like I was putting in a lot of effort and work, and I just could not get into a program. I even got a license and did ABA therapy for a bit. Still
Okay.
had no luck. So my husband and I ended up moving to New Jersey,
Okay.
and I worked for a bit. And then I was like, I gotta do something. So, well, I also forgot to mention that when I was doing my undergrad, I met one of my now best friends, Sarah, who is a CFer. So
Oh,
that was my first introduction to respiratory. So I remember her explaining like her cystic fibrosis diagnosis and disease to me. I remember sitting with her doing homework, and she would be doing her vest and her nebulizers and her inhalers and her coughs and tell me about her phlegm. And I'm like, ew, that's gross. I don't want to hear about it. So, all of that. And then after I was like working, I was actually doing catering sales for Panera, and I've been doing that for like a year and a half. And I was like, okay, I really want to be in the healthcare field. I want to work with patients. I want to help people. Like I got to figure out something else to do here.
okay.
And so I was looking online, and the respiratory program kept coming back to me. I'd watch YouTube videos. I talked to my friend Sarah about her experience with RTs and kind of like her relationship and what she saw. And then my sister-in-law at the time was an ER nurse. So I asked her, like, hey, do you ever work with respiratory therapists? Like, what do you think? Do you think I could do that? And she was like, oh, absolutely, go for it. So one night after a bad day at work, I was on the computer
Panera Bread?
at Panera, yeah. And I got on the computer and I found the program closest to me. And I emailed the director my information, and it was already past the deadline to apply, actually. And I had reached out and I was like, I know I missed the deadline, but is there a way I can meet with you to talk about the program? I'm very interested, yada, yada. And this is at like midnight. He emailed me back within like half an hour. So he was like, come in today. I'll be here. Yeah. He's like, come on in. And I was like, wow, like things are falling into place already. Like this is too good to be true. And that's just kind of how it happened. So I met with him and spoke with him, and
Listen, midnight. We need so many respiratory therapists. It's not even funny. I see why he caught you midnight. Yes,
yeah.
it's crazy. So you were able to get over the mucus and
It took a little bit.
right.
Yeah, but yeah, it doesn't really bother me as much now.
I would hope I would at this point. That's what I tell anyone, especially someone that is young and they don't know what to do and they like to help people. And they just have that good vibe about them. I'm like, listen, if you're not afraid of a little mucus, a little blood, you'll
Yeah.
come over here. Like, you'll be fine. We'll take good care of you. You'll make your money. And it's like a good stepping stone in the healthcare world if you want to do something else later. But I tell
Well,
people,
it's funny that you mentioned the blood because I didn't know that we had to do like ABGs and things like that. So I didn't really think of that. And in clinicals, my whole group, we all still laugh about it. We're all still friends. And they said I looked like wider than like the background behind you, that I was like slowly bending over watching my first ABG. They all thought I was going to pass out. So funny. And then when it came for us to start doing the ABGs, they would tease me like, "Oh, Bree, like, are you going to be okay?" And I ended up being the first one to get it out of all of us. So, I was able to get over, but it got me at first.
listen, that is so good. I mean, and yeah, folks just need to hear stuff like that. It's like, yeah, it's just it's you'll get it. You'll get it. Just be open. You'll be fine. But thank you for sharing that story. So let's segue to the AEC. So congratulations on
Thank
passing the
you. Thanks. I
AEC.
know my
Yeah.
certificate like came in yesterday too, actually.
Nice. All right. See, everything's falling into place. They knew you
Yeah.
was going to be here with the asthma lady. Look at that. I'm telling you. So very happy to hear you are a certified an asthma educator specialist. So can you share with our listeners, what inspired you to pursue this certification and how you believe it will impact your career path?
So I already kind of knew about a year into working, I guess, that I didn't want to be bedside forever, which I guess most people have that feeling. So I
Mhm.
was already searching for like opportunities, like what can I do to incorporate like my background with my bachelor's degree and my respiratory, like what can I do? How can I still have patient interaction but not be bedside 24/7?
Right.
And then around that same time, we had a patient come in
Mhm.
who, early 20s, had a severe asthma exacerbation and was not treated for asthma by the ambulance. Um, and that patient is now vent and trach dependent. So
Yeah.
that was like, wow, that's a big opener. Like that's kind of what really pushed me to be like, okay, this is what I think I want to go into.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, it's just so crazy because people sometimes just think like asthma's not a big deal. And it's like, yeah, I've
It
seen
really is. Yeah.
it's like, it's a big deal because it becomes a big deal when something happens, and that's the problem. And in a lot of communities, it's just like, oh yeah, it's just asthma. It's like,
Yeah.
no, don't play with that. Don't play.
Yeah.
That's why, um, yeah, that's why I advocate for people to do this type of work, and it's so necessary. So once again, congratulations and welcome to the club.
Thank you.
Okay, so walk us through your journey for preparing for the asthma educator certification exam. So what did you do? Do you have any tips or insights you gained during the process that you would like to share?
Sorry, my dog has decided she
Oh,
wants to come and join me. So,
it's fine. I have
um,
Bella the cat circulating around here somewhere, knocking over my stuff. It's fine.
so
The production.
I kind of like thought about it, I guess, because I think I emailed you like a year ago
Mhm.
asking for advice, actually, because I
Yes.
saw all the work that you were doing. So you were also like a big inspiration to that. So thank you. And so I kind of always saw you up and doing your stuff. And I was like, wow, like she's always got something to say. Like there's a lot about this more than what you learn
Mhm.
about in respiratory school, right?
Yes, yes.
So I kind of contemplated it for a while. And then all of a sudden I'm like, okay, I'm ready to do it. I was finally there. So I took your advice and I did the AARC program.
Okay.
So they had like a CEU course. I did that. I think it's worth like 10 or 11 continuing education credits also.
Okay. So
So I
you
did
became a
that.
member of the AARC and then you took
Yes.
the course. That's what you're saying?
Yes. Yes.
Got you. Okay,
Yes.
nice. Very smart, actually.
Yes.
Good use of your
So Yeah, they had a lot of videos on there, like at PowerPoint presentations. I printed out all the PowerPoints. I had all my notes, and then I studied, made flashcards, watched a lot of YouTube videos.
Okay.
And even like YouTube videos from like nursing, giving like nursing students like medication advice just to kind of help remember things better and whatnot. To like pulmonologists, to other asthma instructors. So I tried to get a whole like group of resources basically.
Right,
And
right.
then I even bought like a Kindle version of an asthma prep course on Amazon.
Good. Mm-hmm.
So I did all of that. And then after I finished all of those and like read through everything and did all the practice tests, I spent, I guess, like 3 or 4 weeks trying. I had a lot of like personal stuff going on at the time, and we had been kind of like
That's,
relocating. So I was like in the
that's
midst of
nice.
it. So it took me a little bit longer than I wanted, but I got it done.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so and then I paid for the practice tests, like the SAE on the NBRC, I believe it is.
Okay.
And then I did their free practice test, and I was like, okay, I'm booking it. This is my day. I got to be ready. And then I just went for it. So
Yes. Okay. No, actually, that's the way you just described it is actually the way I advise people to do it because, take a prep course, study however works best for you, and then book the test. It's just
yeah,
like, and give yourself time. And then because
yeah,
you keep waiting, all that time passes. But I usually tell people, yeah, give yourself a few weeks, a month, 2 months, whatever,
yeah,
and go for it. But you have to set the time. And
yeah,
you don't forget it. It's not happening. It's not happening.
exactly.
Yeah, so and it's on your time. So I like how you just described it. It's on your time. And this is what taking over your career and just owning it is about. Just making a decision and then knowing how you learn and and then going for it. So
Right.
yes. Yeah. You got it. Um, I mean, so to you, would you say that a prep course is necessary? Like, what do you
Say yes. I think so. I'm just personally a nervous test taker.
right?
So I want that like validation, and I want, you know what I mean? And it's a lot of money and time that you're investing to take the
Right,
test, even. So it's like, I don't want to waste my time and waste my money if I'm not really understanding it and able to pass it.
right.
So yes, definitely necessary. I was a little surprised like going into it. It's not heavily respiratory based because I
No,
was like,
I,
why does a physical therapist be able to take it? I'm like, I guess I could see a social worker, but I'm like, oh, this makes so much sense once I started the prep.
yes, yes.
So
And I
yeah,
think that's what trips up a lot of people. So
yes,
like I know people from all across the healthcare discipline that take this exam and fail because they think they are taking it as a nurse. They are taking it as a physician.
no,
They are taking it as a PA. So they're
yeah,
not taking prep courses. They just take the exam. They're like, "Oh, I'm a respiratory therapist. I know asthma." And
you
it's like,
don't. There's so much more to it
yeah,
than just the mechanism of asthma because you're
correct.
really taking it to advocate for the patient. You know what I mean? Like you're learning the best way to meet their needs, to explain things. You have to be able to listen to how they're interpreting it and understand, like, oh, that's not right. Let me re-explain it, re-educate. Like you're doing so much back and forth with just the patient that's not even about like the mechanism of the medication or the pathophysiology of the asthma, anyways.
Right, right. The advice that I give often is for them, like you said, get the exam matrix from the NBRC,
Mhm.
and it'll tell you how many questions is
Yeah.
related to the actual condition. And then there's like program management, there's community engagement questions, there's just so many different entities that go into that to taking that exam. And if you're not from that world, those questions definitely trip you up. It's
Right.
it's crazy. And there's like social work type questions. Like it's so
Yeah.
and you need the stamina to take that exam. Definitely. That's like not something,
Yeah.
yeah, you need good sleep. Yeah, it's not one of those, let me hurry up and take this exam and go about my business. Mm-mm. Not at all. But thank you for sharing your
Exactly.
insights. I really appreciate that. As somebody that just took it, I took it so many years ago. So it's refreshing to hear like how you
Right.
about it and your plans on what how you're going to move forward within your career. So with that being said, so what advice would you give to other respiratory therapists, especially women who are looking to take control of their careers and pursuing certifications or specialized training and anything else? It being Women's History Month and all.
Right. Um, I mean, you just have to go for it. It's really, I don't think it's a man's world in this environment. You know what I mean? You have to go for it. My director of the program for the hospital I work at, she's a woman and she's a firecracker and she's always getting everything done and handled and takes care of us. You just have to figure out what is interesting and then just go for it. There's really no reason why you shouldn't.
Go get it. That's what you're saying. Go
Yes.
get
You
it.
just have to. I guess the one thing, I don't know if this is like controversial or not to say, but I
Go.
feel like women just like feel like they have to compete with other women. And you can't. You just have to let that go, even with just something so simple as, oh, like we're studying for the same test and we're doing the same program for it, but she finishes her test first or she takes the test first. Like just something so simple as that. You got to get out of your head. You can't do that. Like you just can't compare yourself, especially another woman against the woman. You can't.
Gosh, I love that. And it's such a I always and one of the things that I say is I compete with yesterday's version of me. Like I'm
Mm-hmm.
not I can't be looking at the lady on the right, the lady on the left, and trying to compete with anybody else. It's just too much. And like you said, you made the decision on your own time, and you took the appropriate amount of time for you. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? And that is just what's working for your career. And Breanna, I tell you, you will get far based off that alone. I'm telling you,
Thank you.
you circle back to me. Circle back. Be like, the asthma lady said I would get far.
That's
Yeah,
right.
yeah. Because you really do have to just own it. Just own your career, make these decisions. And are there barriers in the healthcare world when it comes to career management? Yeah, there are, but as long as you are continuously willing to learn and you're like you said, you're just making intentional decisions,
Hmm.
you'll be fine.
Right.
You will be fine. Oh, this is great. So yeah, you hit it on the nose. I just try to find people to say it in their way, but yeah.
Yeah. And that directs to myself because I'm guilty of that too, So it's something I have to tell myself. And my husband tells me all the time, stop comparing yourself, stop doing it. Like I'm guilty of it too. It's so easy to do.
Yeah, it's a distraction. It is. It's
Yeah.
distraction. And women, I don't know why. It's just it's a thing. And yeah, you just have to cut
It's got
those
to not be.
thoughts off like
Yeah.
immediately. Very good. Um, affirmations. Yeah, I get it, girl. So okay, Breanna, so here's your chance to plug away. What do you have going on? Where can we find you? What's your social media? What you got going on? Plug away.
So I'm not currently like working with per se the AEC credential just yet. I just got it. I'm looking for avenues. I'm trying to open up doors at work. So I'm trying to get something going with it.
Okay.
I will say that by my patient care, it's already helped elevate me and being able to communicate and educate my patients on their asthma and even makes me feel more comfortable speaking with the doctors about the asthma or the patient's asthma treatment plan.
Okay.
So, like, good for that. I'm working on that. Another thing, I just want to really try to start saying yes to things more, putting myself out there. Even this, for example, like I was excited and then I got in my head, Brie, like, that's kind of silly. What are you going to go on there? You haven't done anything. Like, you're not like respiratory coach coming on here or the burnout coach, but why not? Why can't I be on here? You know what I mean? Like, why do I have to get my head? So
Yeah.
Just say yes more.
Yes, and that is the same thing with what was happening to me back in the day. I was always so like, well, why me? Like it just didn't make sense at one point. And I had an episode that I had put up that was called "Stop Being Your Own Hater." It was me. It's just like that was blocking myself. So yeah, I totally agree. Saying yes, especially as women, and just being open to receive. That's it. And
Right.
grow. Amazing. Breanna, stay in my circle.
Thank you.
Yeah, keep watching. We'll definitely stay in touch. And I'm excited for you. I'm excited for you and to watch your journey. And these roles are so necessary. And I totally support, especially in the respiratory therapy field, anybody that has a that wants to get into a subspecialty, just shine just a little brighter in something that they're very passionate about, and just want to get going for it. Yes, this was really good. Thank you so much, Brianna. Okay, so let me close us out. All right, guys, thank you so much, everyone. I appreciate it. Thank you, Brianna, once again. Brianna, sorry for
Okay.
Thank you so much for being our guest co-host. Thank you guys again for tuning in. Remember, we are here on most podcast platforms on Wednesdays, and we are on YouTube on Thursdays. So much more to come on Women's History Month. All right, guys. So remember to invest in yourself and to only compete with yesterday's version of you. See you next week. Bye.